Bryan Watts, Mary Persons football player from 79 to 82. He's the team's kicker and punter. Went on to West Georgia. He's All-South, Gulf South Conference Freshman of the Year in 1983. He was named All-Conference selection 83 and 84. And in 1985, he booted the longest punt in Gulf South Conference history with an 85-yarder that still stands as a record today. He went on to a career in education and coaching. And Bryan, congratulations. Come on up here. We're happy.
I'm used to it. All right. Well, I'm telling you, I was past my bedtime, so this is going to be. When I was first contacted about this, they said I had to give a speech. Penny said 45 minutes. That's what I heard. It was 4 to 5 minutes. So here we go. First of all, I want to thank the members of the selection committee for putting me up here tonight. I'm very humbled. I'm very honored because to me, I didn't grow up here. I didn't move here till I was in the 8th grade. But to me, it all started for me right here in Forsyth, Monroe County. This is my home. I want to thank my wife, Joanne, my daughter, Madison, my sons, Taylor and Chandler, and their family for sharing this moment with me tonight. You guys are my world, and I love you. Next thanks I want to give to my parents. My mother, always there for me whenever I needed her. My father, some of y'all in this room might know him as Sarge. He was in the Army for 20-something years, sold cars. Sarge is the man that installed in me the discipline so that when I got to start playing football at Mary Persons, it was a little bit easier for me. My daddy was a drill sergeant, so I grew up under the direction of a drill sergeant. And he always told me, he said, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. You know, have pride in what you're doing. You know, don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass who you're working for or who you're playing for. And, you know, being part of the military, we moved around a whole lot. And I grew up all, you know, New Jersey, Colorado, North Carolina. I was pulling for high school teams like the Arvada Bulldogs, the Salida Spartans, the Cotopaxi Pirates. Later on, it was the Roswell Hornets and the West Lawrence Raiders. And while we were in Lawrence County, Dad comes home one day, he says, y'all pack your bags, we're moving again. And I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, I didn't know, okay? I'm just going to say that and you'll see why. I said, well, Daddy, where are we going to? He said, I'm going back home. I'm moving to Forsyth. I said, okay, what high school am I going to go to? He said, Mary Persons. And I'm like, Mary Persons? Who's going to name their school after a girl? I mean, Mary Persons. I don't want to go. You know, why? But that fall of my 8th grade year, this is back when the stands were reversed from what they are now. He took me to a football game, and we sat right near the band. I don't know who the Mary Person was playing that night, but they beat the crap out of them because the band never shut up. And then we were sitting so low that all I could see was like the back of the players' helmets when we were right there on the field. And just watching the game and seeing all the excitement in the atmosphere. We're going home that night, and my dad said, well, what do you think? And I said, Daddy, I think I want to play football at Mary Persons. He says, all right, we need to talk to Coach Pitts. And I'm like, I didn't say it, but I'm like, okay, which one was he? So about a year later, I ended up talking to him, like when I first got to 9th grade, and he got me started. I started playing. Now, I want to move forward a couple years from that. It was after spring practice, my 11th grade year. And my father just retired from the military and, was trying to find his second career. My mother was working at Carter's out there on 41. And I was working part-time at McDonald's. And I was also working part-time for my Uncle Grover at his Chevron station down on Rumble Road. So I had some money in my pocket, and I was feeling kind of good about the way things were going. Never thought about playing college ball or anything. And so I made a decision one day to tell Coach Pitts that I don't want to play anymore, that I need to work to help support my family, which kind of the way I was. So you remember Coach Pitts used to have this trailer out there by the old gym. That was his office. And I'd go in there one day to tell him this, and to say I was scared is an understatement. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hardly talk. When I finally got out what I told him, he just kind of looked over his glasses at me from what he was doing, and he paused for about maybe 5 or 10 seconds. It might as well have been 5 or 10 hours. I didn't know what to do, anything else to do. And he looks at me and he said, Bryan, you got the gas ass. I said, the what? He said, yeah, you just want to get a car and get gas, to have gas money for your car. I didn't say anything. He says, I'm going to tell you this. You have the rest of your life to work, but the game of football is only going to last a few years. So he talked me into staying, and right before I left his office that day, he told me, he says, when the weight room opens the first day of summer practice, summer weights, summer workouts, I want you to be there 30 minutes early. So I get there, and I'm on time. I'm actually early because I didn't want to be, I was on Pitt's time, not my time. And he hands me a key to the weight room. He hired me that summer to open and close the weight room. He paid me to do that. He also paid me to cut, the grass on a football field on that small red Toro mower that took about 3.5 hours to cut. But I did it, and he paid me for it, and that was the point for me that, getting to know him that summer and spending time with him and running with him or trying to run with him. I really got to know him outside of being a coach. So things go on, and I want to fast forward again to a couple years after that. We're going to go to the summer of '83, West Georgia College. West Georgia had just won the 1982 Division III National Championship. And the 1982 team, some of them left, some of them stayed. Well, in '83, they moved up to Division II and were offering scholarships. So I get a call. I made a couple phone calls, and I got myself a tryout on their walk-on day. They had probably 200, 300 kids that were just trying to walk on to get a spot on the team. We're up here on this one field. This other field down here was the West Georgia, their actual team. They had about 100 players, and plus they already had 2 guys that were punters. And so they put us over in a group. It was me and about 13, 14 other guys that were punters. And by the time we got to go, the West Georgia team had already stopped practicing. Some of those guys had come up to watch. And, if you ever hit a golf ball or a baseball or a softball, sometimes right when you make contact, maybe you don't know about this, but right when you make contact, that is gone. It's a long, straight drive down the fairway, or that ball sailing over the center field fence. Well, punting and kicking is kind of the same way. You could just tell when it leaves your foot, it's just going to be a great kick. And this particular day in Carrollton, I couldn't do any wrong. I couldn't shake one to save my life. Everything was just flying off my foot. It was just long, 35, 40, 45, whatever distance they want me to kick it. I even nailed one that was in the upper 50s. And by this time, the head coach for West Georgia came over there and he said, what's your name? I said, Bryan Watts. He said, when you get done here, coach, you bring him to my office. So we got finished about 30 minutes later, and so we go down to the football office, and Coach Pate's standing there, and other coaches kind of standing around talking. There's some other people. A sports information guy was in there, and one of the coaches brings me to him, and he says, "Tell me, Bryan, where are you from?" I said, "Forsyth." He said, "Where'd you play high school ball?" I said, "Mary Persons." I knew then what it was. So I said, "Little Mary Persons." And Coach Pate looked at me and he goes, "Dan Pitts, huh?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Tell me, Bryan, what kind of drills, what kind of exercises did Coach Pitts do to you to make you kick the ball like that?" And I swear to God, the whole office got quiet. Telephones quit ringing, typewriters quit typing. All the conversations stopped. Everybody's looking at me. That's what it seemed like. Everybody's looking at me to find out what was one of the secrets that Coach Pitts had that allowed me to have that talent. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, Coach, when I was coming out of 9th grade that summer, he gave me the old duffel bag full of footballs and put me in front of a pecan tree and told me to start trying to kick over that tree." That's the truth. Coach Pate looks at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Are you for real?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "It took me about a year and a half, but I finally got a ball over that tree." And he just walks off and he says, "Coach Pitts, tree." About 20 minutes later, I signed a scholarship to play football at West Georgia. And that's that. That's it. But this journey tonight has been a long one. I know you guys are ready to get home. I am too. It's past my bedtime. My grandson's over there. They're way past their bedtime. But I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. It's truly an honor. And like I said, thank you very much.